Welcome back to Valencia, an incredibly hot Valencia I have to say, at the end of day 2 of this final group test here in Formula E ahead of the season 4 first race in Hong Kong. I'm delighted to say that I'm joined once again by Sam Smith, editor of eracing365.com. Sam, it's been a busy day out on track, but when we ended the day quickest, can we read much into the timesheets?
In a word, no, I don't think so, Mark. Very unrepresentative in terms of what I think we're going to see in Hong Kong. They installed a second chicane a bit further up the straight overnight, which I think has been met with universal approval by the drivers. It means that the ultimate speed down to the first chicane is reduced. So I think that across the board was a sensible decision. Yeah.
It does mean that the times from day 1 are obviously completely different to day 2, so there's no comparisons to be made. Is that going to hamper them much, do you think?
I don't think so. 3.5 seconds I think was the discrepancy between yesterday. Lots of running today. I think there was a lot of effectively long runs that were going on today. Difficult to extrapolate any kind of meaningful sort of analysis from that data. But all in all, I think most of the teams are keeping their powder dry and they're not really giving much away, which is always the way at the start of the year.
That's right, yeah. So, I mean, they've all been working away. They're not desperately trying to set the fastest lap time for this circuit in Valencia. It means nothing effectively to them. They're all working away towards Hong Kong and beyond. So that's season 4. But in the background, of course, there's massive changes coming for season 5. And all the teams have got to keep at least half an eye on those developments now. You know a little bit about that season 5 car that we haven't seen yet, but it has done some running, hasn't it?
Yeah, I've seen a picture of it, sadly not been able to reproduce it or get a copy. The car tested at a little known circuit called Circuit Ecure, which is near Reims, last month. Antoine Hubert, GP3 driver with ART, who are affiliated to Spark of course, in the family, ran and did the test. 400 kilometres were accrued. The car looks bizarre because it wasn't fully formed, shall we say. Yeah. It ran with the season 5 battery. It's ahead of schedule, so I think there's a lot for FIA and Formula E to be quite pleased about. Yeah, because
it's a huge change, isn't it? I mean, we go to single car per driver per race for season 5, a whole new chassis, so it is going to look differently. It's going to perform very differently. I mean, the teams have got to already start looking at simulations, start thinking about how they split their resource. So season 4. It's going to be a bit of a compromise for some teams, isn't it, on how they split their resource looking ahead to season 5 and what they keep focusing on the current championship.
Very much so. I mean, most of them are running parallel teams or will be running parallel teams. The delay is going to come actually not now. They're ahead of schedule by running this. They said October originally. They're a kind of month ahead, but they're eventually going to be about 6 to 8 weeks behind because they're going to implement the Halo safety device, of course.
Yeah, written into the regulations for season 5, so that will be coming. But yes, it actually affects the final chassis design, it affects the weight of the car. There's an awful lot that has to be taken into consideration. It's not just a case of bolting the thing on and off you go, is it?
It's a fairly big job. The monocoque has to be aligned and modified, so the CAD data has got to be changed. So there's a lot to do, but I'm hearing that by the end of February, each manufacturer should have a car to start forming it and go testing.
Exciting times. Okay, let's talk drivers. Now, this week here in Valencia, a lot of the teams, or a number of the teams at least, are running different drivers. Some of the teams haven't finally got signatures on paper yet, so they're testing out various drivers. What have you seen and what have you made about the kind of collection of drivers that have turned up here?
Well, there are 2 cases really, Andretti and Venturi. Taking Andretti first, Tom Blomqvist and Alexander Sims have been testing, dovetailing the testing yesterday and today. Alexander was quicker today. He's been in the car before though. He's been doing tests, private tests for the past 18 months or so. Tom is relatively new. He's done just 1 day, I think, at a private BMW test track. But it'll be interesting to see how they potentially split it. And I mean split, they could actually run both drivers next year with possibly Tom doing the first tranche of the season.
Yeah, I mean, that seems like a slightly bizarre but interesting solution. I mean, they are very much focused on the BMW Season 5 entry in that regard, aren't they?
Yeah, I mean, it makes sense in some respects because when BMW come on board as a factory team in Season 5, that they can evaluate and analyse what both Tom and Alexander have done. I mean, they're both fantastic young drivers, and I mean, Alexander in particular is a real advocate of EV racing as well. But I think each will get a decent chance.
Yeah, and I think what's interesting about all this is that BMW, as you say, coming in Season 5, There are two other major manufacturers coming in season 6 in Porsche and Mercedes. We're already seeing them getting reasonably heavily involved in Formula E now, 2 years ahead of their ultimate involvement, aren't we?
Indeed. There's a big story for us today was seeing and understanding and trying to filter what was exactly happening at Dragon Racing. What we do know is that engineers are already working with Dragon Racing, primarily on Neil Jarney. They were guests of the team here. We think that's going to expand a little bit. We believe there's going to be an announcement from Porsche of their engineering deal with Dragon, and of course that this is a could possibly expand to a B team in the future. That's not to say it will, but the early signs are that they will be embedded somewhat into that team. It's
really fascinating how the whole landscape is starting to change, because Mercedes as well looking at potentially placing drivers. We've seen a few of those up and down the pit lane dipping their toe in the water, haven't we?
Yeah, we have. Obviously Mauro Engel is a Mercedes driver. I mean, in terms of Eduardo Mortara here today, you know, I think he's the hot favourite for that drive. James Rossiter has run today and in private as well, so I think it's probably between the two of them. But you know, I'm hearing about possible outsiders coming up on the rail, so we'll have to just wait and see. They've got to the 20th of October, of course.
And Danny Juncadella as well, who's here today, I think running on Thursday in the Mahindra. Yep. That, I believe, is with a potential view to becoming third driver or reserve driver for that team. But I guess the thinking behind that is that he may well be able to do a number of simulator days and help the guys out from even if he's not at the circuit.
Exactly, and Mahindra have only brought 2 cars here this week, so they're preparing the other 2 for the trip to Hong Kong. I mean, Daniel, accomplished driver, he's got a great track record. You know, I think...
Also Mercedes linked, isn't he?
Yeah, of course. You know, another one who's Mercedes linked. So I think some teams are going for third or reserve drivers, some aren't. For instance, Audi are highly unlikely to, and Renault the same. But we'll have to see. I think for the season 5 testing, the test days, I could see a benefit in having a good quality third driver. Yeah.
Well, I mean, while we're on the subject of drivers, just to sort of wrap this up, I think I've spoken to both of last year's top 2, so Buemi and Di Grassi. Both seem in really positive mood. I spoke to Buemi today, talking about how he kind of dealt with the disappointment of last year. He's put all that behind him. He's very much focused. He knows it's going to be a close battle. Lucas, on the other hand, I think is sitting in a quietly confident mood ahead of this season 4. Their car looks pretty good to me.
Does look good. Like I said, it's difficult to give any proper analysis from here, but you know, what a great story for Formula E and actually racing in general. This rivalry we've got between Sebastian and Lucas is just fascinating. 2 very different characters, 2 excellent racing drivers and team operators. You know, even today in a fairly innocuous test session, they're vying for the top position. So it doesn't mean anything, of course, but it whets the appetite for Hong Kong, definitely.
It's pretty good. It's all exciting. I mean, you're looking forward to season 4, right?
Oh, it's going to be immense. We've had 3 incredible finales to Formula E since the inaugural season, and I've got a feeling this could be the closest yet, definitely.
I agree. I'm really looking forward to it myself. Going to some great new places this year. Quite a number of different things on the horizon for season 4. So I can't wait to get into it. Thank you very much to you, Sam, for joining me. Thanks for you guys for watching, and roll on Hong Kong. For weekly Formula E videos, click subscribe on the left-hand side. To watch the next one, click the icon in the centre, and remember to hit the like button and leave your comments down below.